Hi, welcome to Contentstack Live. I'm your host, Jeff Baher, along with my assistant, Austin Chen. Joining us today is Jillian Fraas. She's our partner relations manager for our cloud partners here at Contentstack. Jillian, hi, welcome to the program.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Hey, so the topic of today's episode, tapping into the AWS Marketplace to optimize your digital experience and investments. So let's start with the AWS Marketplace itself. Many of our listeners are probably familiar with AWS. It's Amazon Web Services. But let's start just talking about their marketplace for those who aren't maybe familiar with that in particular.
Yeah, great question. So it's a good place to start. The AWS Marketplace allows organizations who are already working within the AWS infrastructure. Maybe they're doing cloud hosting, digital transformations, or other sorts of projects within the AWS network. It's going to allow those organizations to easily find, test, buy, and deploy software within that system. So
is it, and maybe you can kind of bring it up, but is it only AWS applications, or is this kind of a third-party apps, or what kind of, what do you see there?
Yeah. So within the AWS Marketplace, there's going to be a variety of different solutions across different technology providers. A good thing to point out is these are all companies who have made internal investments to be able to position themselves in that marketplace. So really being able to show up to the customers who are already in the AWS space. And within that, there are going to be tons of different types of technologies, professional services, software applications. So today we'll spend a little bit of time on the software application side because that's most relevant to us. But yeah, that's going to be just like a way to get within the ecosystem.
So yeah, maybe you could just bring up the marketplace and kind of show like, what does a user or a builder see when they're first kind of getting into the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. So really similar to if you have a personal Amazon account at home, it's going to be a way that you could purchase. So if you think about your own personal use case, there are ways that you can purchase things through Amazon that you can certainly purchase directly from the retailer. But when you're purchasing through that marketplace that you're more familiar with, as a buyer, you're going to have a little bit more reassurance around things like 2-day shipping, your billing information already being set up, having one less login that you need to manage, and then also knowing who to contact in the event that you have questions or concerns about your order. The same is going to translate into the AWS environment for customers that are already working with AWS. So within here, you'll see there are tons of different paths of ways that you can explore. There's different categories. You can explore by use cases or maybe more tool specific of what you're looking for. You can also do some searching. So if you have technologies or organizations on your radar that you're looking to leverage, you can actually click through and go directly to their listings through the search tool. So if you'll see here, I just pulled up the Contentstack listing for our visibility here.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. So from this, multiple different, people from an IT team can then go through the marketplace, procure the different apps that they want. All of this though gets then wrapped under like a single kind of purchasing agreement. Like it gives, as you were saying, kind of like a single kind of view into all of the different purchases to support contracts and everything of that nature.
Yeah, great call out. So up here, you'll see I'm actually logged into my account. So within the AWS infrastructure, within the organization, there should be somebody that has access to be able to make marketplace purchases. But most people can at least get in and see what types of technologies. Usually you'll get gated when you hit this purchase option.
Got it. Okay. Michelle Grady, one of our product managers on one of our earlier episodes talking about our marketplace. How are those different? Yeah. How do you distinguish the two? Would I do one or the other, or do they kind of complement people? How should people think about that?
Yeah, Jeff, great call out. So both marketplaces and just marketplaces in general are designed to meet the customer where they already are. So in the case of the Contentstack marketplace, it's going to allow our existing customers or prospective customers to know who they can easily connect with within our ecosystem. The same goes on the AWS front. So it's really just pulling tools and technologies that work well within that ecosystem and putting them in a place where customers can easily recognize that these tools and technologies are already living within that same environment. So in the case of Contentstack, we have a variety of partner applications, experiences, accelerators, different things available for our customers. The same would go for AWS, just on a wider scale.
Yeah, I think it was the wider scale being the kind of like critical differentiator there, because clearly what you were showing was, the gamut of everything: compute, storage, databases, also security software. But so at a smaller scale, the same kind of spirit and capability of these are all of what we used to kind of integrations, recipes, partners that we have amassed and kind of pulled together from a digital experience kind of ecosystem. We're seeing that kind of on steroids and in this kind of AWS marketplace.
Exactly. Yeah. At the end of the day, those marketplaces, they're all designed to really make it easy for the end user or customer to know which technologies are going to be easily compatible, what's already set up versus what am I going to have to custom build within those environments.
Cool. So let's shift and talk some like the dollars and cents of it. So there's clearly it's just convenient and you can see it all right there. And that in and of itself has some advantage, but, what are some of the economic drivers for why enterprises do enjoy and benefit from using the AWS marketplace? And, how does that kind of fit into people's like calculation of like using the marketplace or really taking advantage of it?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. So many enterprise organizations will have, if they're already working with AWS, they're going to have something called an enterprise discount program or an EDP. And what that is it's a pre-commitment to AWS as to how much they're going to spend. And by making that upfront commitment, they are locking in things like different levels of discounts. Maybe they're getting additional levels of support from either the AWS teams or partners. Maybe they're getting some additional credits and incentives for their level of participation within that ecosystem. That to be said, if you don't have an EDP, it's still a great way to start to build up your spend within that ecosystem. So all of those dollars are starting to count towards things like getting better discounts. So it's just really being smart about the way that you're allocating budgets. And what we find is a lot of times there are technology budgets that have been established that are already committed to something like an AWS, where there's a lot of digital transformation going on and they know that they're going to need to spend on technologies. But what they haven't quite identified yet is which solutions those are. So in a lot of cases, there's some flexibility within. We know we're going to have to build out additional tools. We're not quite sure what those are yet, but we know we're going to earmark that amount of spend. So that allows organizations to tap into tools like ours when they're ready and they hit that point, they already have the dollars set aside to do so.
Yeah, I was going to ask just the whole role of the marketplace and the use of the credits and everything you just mentioned. Is that just how much that becomes an important driver?
Yeah, it's going to vary pretty greatly by organization. So it'll ultimately just come down to the customer organization's priorities. So if they have priorities where they're running through cloud transformation projects and they know that they want things like vendor consolidation, being able to get one bill for all of your tools and technologies through the AWS marketplace is going to be a little bit different than knowing that you're going to have to go out and procure 6, 7, 10 different technologies independently. That's a big difference when you look at some of the back end for an organization. So there's a lot of organizations that have gotten smart on trying to consolidate that and doing it in a way that makes it easier for them. But then there are some organizations where maybe they don't have the level of investment there, where they still want to be procuring directly, or they need that flexibility for one reason or another. Luckily, AWS has made it really easy for us to work within different programs to offer that flexibility that ultimately comes down to whatever's best for the customer is how we'll meet them.
Yeah. And in terms of the credits themselves, is it credits that you get from using Amazon products? You get credits from using really anything that you're procuring through the marketplace?
That's a good question. So it's a bit of a loaded question. There are so many different types of programs for different size, scale, and like availability for different organizations that it's hard to say as a blanket statement. But I would encourage, if there is any question of whether or not you have credits available, reach out to your AWS team, reach out to your Contentstack team. We can help you navigate that. That's part of why I was brought on board, is to navigate all of these different types of nuances that can come with the various programs. And we can help you figure out if you do have credits available, or if there are ways that are going to make it more of an incentive for you to procure directly or via AWS. We can explore.
Yeah, that's great. Cause I would wonder I have my own challenges sometimes navigating just AWS sometimes. So I could imagine for people who are actually serious about this, like they could really benefit from that, because maybe some weren't aware that there were credits, or that they maybe weren't getting the most out of them. I have all sorts of frequent flyer miles and different things in random places that I don't and are not aware of. So I would imagine, again, when it really matters, like in someone's business like this, that level of handholding is probably really, really welcomed.
Yeah. And that's a big part of as we enable our organization to lean into the marketplace and why we're having this conversation today. We want to meet our customers where they are. So if there's a possibility that they have those credits, we're working behind the scenes with the different technology providers. In this case, it's AWS. Sometimes it might be one of our other types of partners. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for the customer behind the scenes by forging those relationships and helping back up any sort of conversation that the customer might need.
So I wanted to pick up on another angle. You help clearly outline like the business drivers, the credits and all of that. But who's typically in the marketplace? I mean, it's probably not this business person. So who typically like kind of cares about what's in the marketplace, is actually working in it and consuming things?
Yeah, that's a really good point to call out. So usually it is someone on the more technical team. I'd reference that there are users that have approval to buy via the marketplace. One example is I was just chatting with our GM here of engineering, and he was saying that he was really excited about this announcement, more so than probably anyone in our company, because he leverages that. He's actually the user that goes in and he's working within the marketplace. And he's done this with other organizations as well, where he already has budget allocated and he knows that he's going to need those tools and technologies. But now he can just go in and he can easily find those solutions when he's ready, when he needs it, and he can deploy those. The budget's already there. So he doesn't have to go back to finance. He doesn't have to go back through levels of approval. It's already available to be able to just get it up and running as quickly as possible.
So that's an interesting, the GM looks to what the finance is kind of preloaded, then they can very easily pick and choose kind of what they need.
Yeah, our GM of engineering was really excited about this tool and offer because he goes in and he purchases software this way. As our teams are developing new solutions, as they're building out new products, they find areas where maybe they need a tool that they haven't needed up till that point. And it makes it really easy to go in and purchase through the marketplace because the dollars are already there. The infrastructure is already in place. It's really just a one-click purchase option to be able to make that tool available to his team and then continue moving forward with the project.
And then the enterprise would have the ability to control how they want to apportion the credit. So if you want to slice them from IT to HR to whoever, they have some flexibility there.
Of course. Yeah, there are permissions and controls as to who can accept or who can click to purchase within the marketplace. So users can't even get through a certain screen if they don't have that level of permission. So it is all very secured within the AWS system.
Yeah, that's great. So let's pick up on that and then talk a little bit more about like what we actually do and Headless CMS and Composable DXP. So what's going on there in particular? I know you had kind of just shown briefly, but maybe we can kind of bring that up again. But like what's going on in our space? And kind of picking up on this whole leading and listening and responding to what the customers are asking for. Like, yeah, what are we doing? What's new on that front?
Yeah. So one of the really exciting parts about going headless is you do have options for tools and technologies. It's a plug and play. You're able to really build out specifically around the solutions and the business problems that you're solving for. So when it comes to that, being able to interconnect with those other marketplace technologies is going to just make it easier for the customer to know that they're building out a tech stack that all works together. Everybody's on the same page. They're going to make it easy for the customer. So within the marketplace listings, one thing we're doing in the background is working with our technology partners to know if they're also in the AWS marketplace. Is there a way we can bundle that together to just better serve the customer all through the marketplace? So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes of any of these marketplaces to just make it as easy as possible to transact, to procure, to be able to test out those tools and technologies. And then also being able to offer things like publicly available pricing. So we have a public offer up today, which is what we shared. And I can share this here for you again.
Yeah, cool.
But we also know that there's a lot of organizations that maybe they don't fit squarely into what could be publicly offered from a tool like ours. So we're happy to have the conversation and figure out what that best fit is. We can always do what they call a private offer. So if what we have publicly available here on the listing is maybe not the exact fit, we can always work more specifically with the end customer to really design a solution and give a private offer through the marketplace that's going to really fit the business need.
And that might be as an interesting angle that why maybe more specifically would someone want to do that?
Yeah, so we have a variety of different solutions within our toolkit. So knowing that some of our customers are going to be leveraging tools like our automation hub, whereas maybe some customers, they're not quite there yet, or it's not a solution that's a fit at this time. Really just being able to plug and play within our different solutions, just as you would with us directly. We offer that through the marketplace as well. You'll just work with our team. And then at the end of the day, you get to decide if you want it to go through that marketplace or if you'd like it to go directly through Contentstack.
Got it. So you'd have all the flexibility because we've had various Dean talking about Contentstack launch and Christine on automation hub. So all those different components, one way or the other, then can be made available to you through the marketplace.
Right. So if you don't see the exact solution that you're looking for here, as we continue to build out solutions, we'll continue to get as much listed as possible. But if you're not seeing something that's the right fit, or if you have questions, we're happy to help you navigate that and then ultimately make sure it's the right fit for you.
That's great. So this is out, this is live now.
Yeah. So you can actually go through and procure this today. So again, you just have to have the right designation within your own AWS system to be able to purchase, but you can click through and submit a purchase. You can also contact us here and we'll get in touch with you. So if you do want to have those more customized conversations, if you want to set up a conversation between us and AWS and your organization, we're happy to navigate all of that.
When you start to have that conversation, it's to facilitate purchasing still through the marketplace. It's not to then have to then take you out of the marketplace to transact. It's still just, as you were then saying, to further customize what you'd want to procure this
Correct.
way.
Yeah. If you wanted to come through and make a purchase, but maybe this isn't the exact product offering you were looking for, or you've got questions to navigate, we'll help you do that. And then we can still upload it through our marketplace via a private offer.
That's great. For people who do want to procure through the marketplace, globally available, how does that work?
Yeah, I'm excited to share this. It's a global initiative. So most of our customers are, if you're an AWS customer and you have the opportunity to purchase via the marketplace, Contentstack is then available for you. With that being said, there's obviously a lot to navigate, as we've talked about today, through various programs and discounts and incentives. So definitely reach out to your AWS team and your Contentstack team as you're navigating if you have any questions as to if marketplace is the right fit for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So thank you so much. I think just bringing to light the marketplace, there's clearly a lot that enterprise users, I mean, for those many who've tapped into it, but a lot to explore in terms of just the different capabilities, the credits. This, you had mentioned, but just maybe to ask again, like this is the first in terms of what we're seeing, or in terms of composable DXP or headless products that are available in the marketplace, or,
yeah, when you look at the software options through the SaaS solutions on AWS Marketplace, we are the first headless CMS to make it there and have that publicly available offering. So we're excited to have that. And as we continue to move forward and find other opportunities to connect with our customers, we'll continue to build that out and make sure we're staying on the forefront there.
That's great. We have the show notes, so we'll be sure, obviously, to include a lot more information about how to connect with you and more about these different offerings. But if you had anything else you wanted to share, please
appreciate the time. Yeah. I think just in general, I know a lot of my conversation was all about like really working with your teams. It's a lot to navigate. And that's why we have my whole partnership team here to help. And we're supporting our sales teams in doing so. So really just making sure that you're comfortable reaching out. If you have questions, if you just want to connect with me and talk about Marketplace, a lot of what I do is within the cloud ecosystem. So looking not only at AWS, but also Azure, and then we're looking at GCP, and really just figuring out how to meet those customers where they are. So love to have a conversation, love to connect. You can catch me on LinkedIn or some of the partnership folks. I'm in partnership leaders. So lots of ways to get in touch.
We had Pete Larson on an earlier session talking about the technical services organization. Is there an angle for that as well? Just these things can get kind of interesting architecturally, kind of authority in some cases. So there's obviously just the navigating of the marketplace, the assembly of the components that I think I would want or need for my project. But I'm wondering if there's also an architectural component too that we may help people lead through.
Yeah, absolutely. And our teams work really closely with the teams over at AWS to understand the existing infrastructure. So as we're going into those conversations, we're working behind the scenes with the partner just to make sure that we're aligned and we're understanding the architecture as we're proposing solutions and really helping you navigate. So at the end of the day, we're here to work together with those partner organizations and get the solution that's going to best fit the end customer.
Good deal. Well, so our program is Contentstack Live. We do have a live audience. So there were a few questions that had come through. So yeah, Austin, what do you got over there?
Yeah, we got a couple. Here's one. I'm an existing Contentstack customer. Can I now shift my contract to procure via AWS Marketplace to take advantage of existing credits that I have?
Thanks, Austin. So for existing customers, while we have you under contract, work closely with your CSM team as we navigate coming up towards renewals. There are some different levers and options that we can look at and explore and see what makes sense. But every contract's going to be pretty different. So being able to navigate that would probably be better done offline.
Another one, Austin?
Yeah, here's another one. Very exciting news on the AWS front. What about Microsoft Azure in their marketplace? Will Contentstack products be made available there as well?
Always the follow-up question. So, we as a company, we do host some of our clients on Azure, and we, as part of this initiative and as part of me coming on board, we're exploring different opportunities to meet the customers that have a preference there where they are. So if it's an Azure marketplace, or we hear GCP quite a bit, which is Google Cloud, for those of you who aren't familiar, any of those options we're exploring and we're looking at. So really a lot of that's going to be customer led on if that's where the customer demand is, we're going to find ways to prioritize that.
Yeah, it'd be great to have you on, again, in general, but I think especially this angle of kind of multi-cloud. So as we have presence in, and we already support Microsoft Azure, but as we're having more multi-cloud deployments, possibly also with GCP, as you just referenced, it'd be interesting to see how some of those architectures kind of play out and where they are, where and what they purchase and what, where they place the different things in the different cloud properties or cloud resources. Obviously this is like a cloud native, cloud first, like conversation by definition. But it's very interesting to see just how, I came from an on-prem kind of physical world. So it's very interesting to see how quickly now everybody can adopted the cloud architectures and quite in a very sophisticated manner, as you kind of outlined. And in terms of the offerings that AWS offers, like it's a robust platform. There's a tremendous amount of capabilities. So it's great, right? And partly us taking part in that, but also the level of handholding that we can provide and expertise and what you mentioned, like with the partners, like there's a lot that we're bringing together. So it isn't just its own single listing, off, in this enormous marketplace.
Yeah, exactly. So, as we continue to grow as an organization, I'm really tightly aligned with our product team, with our various roadmaps and understanding where there's opportunities to then bring that to the customer on the cloud infrastructure. So whether that be through Marketplace or through different app opportunities, my whole team is dedicated to really exploring those levels of the partnership and making sure that as we're rolling out new product or looking at ways to be innovative on the product front, we're bringing that to the customer through partners as well.
Very exciting. Thank you. So thanks again for taking the time to speak with us today. Super, super interesting stuff. We'll make sure to have you on again soon. And for everyone else out there in the program, thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Be sure to check out the show notes for relevant links and content. To learn even more about the power of going composable, head to contentstack.com.